Hello, welcome to the Obsessed with You podcast. My name is Brandy. You can find me on Ravelry as M. Weasley and on Instagram as Abby and Bella's mom, and that's ABYNBLASMOM. I abbreviated it slightly because it's part of my email address, and I just left it the same when I put it on my Instagram. I hope you all are well. Today is Saturday, March 3rd, and I'm coming to you from Maine, where I live with my husband and our 2 daughters and our dog. It's been a while since my first podcast. That was, I want to say, in October of last year. I had wanted to podcast during the holiday season, but it just, as you all know, can be a very busy and somewhat hectic time of year. We did have a sadness in our family. My husband's grandfather passed away as well, so it just made that time of year just a little more difficult for us. But so far, the new year is going well. Still very busy, but I've been really wanting to set aside some time to sit down and record another episode because it's something that I really enjoy doing. I spend more time watching podcasts than I do watching regular television, so they play a big part in my days, and I'm hoping that I can make one that you will enjoy as much as I enjoy making it. So today I'm going to talk to you about some of my works in progress. I have 4 of them at the moment that I'm actively working on. I have some new acquisitions to not only my yarn stash, but just my knitting accoutrements, tools, bags, that kind of thing. I don't have any FOs. The holiday season, I had a lot of things be finished up for the holidays, but they were gifts, and they have gone on to who they were gifted to. But those items are on my Instagram. If you're interested in seeing them, you certainly are welcome to go take a look. So let's dive right in. Most of my works in progress are socks. I have 3 pair of socks on the go currently. The first one I'm going to show you is for my daughter. And this is the Regia Arnie and Carlos colorway. I am doing a contrast cuff, heel, and toe. I found when I knit some other socks out of this yarn, well, not this exact colorway, but more of the Regia Arnie and Carlos, I found that if I did the contrasting parts, I could get 2 pair of socks out of 100 grams. And that really makes me happy because then I can knit a pair for one of my daughters and myself, or both of them. And I think too, adding the contrast kind of breaks up what could otherwise be a really busy yarn. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this colorway at first because I'm not generally drawn to orange. I don't dislike orange. I find orange to be a very autumnal color. It makes me think of pumpkins and falling leaves, pumpkin pie, yum. But I don't generally wear orange. So, but I did see that Susan B. Anderson had knit this colorway, and she did the heels, cuffs, and toes in a creamy contrast, and I really liked the way that looked, so I thought that I would, I guess, copy that and do it the same myself. So this pair is going to be for my older daughter, Abby, and the second pair that I hope to get out of the remaining yarn, I am going to do up for myself. So that is WIP number 1. And I am keeping that project in one of my Christmas presents from my husband. I ordered so he could give me this cute little Dobby project bag. These are by Denise. She goes by Mrs. QPB, something like that. I can't remember exactly. She's very popular on Instagram. I actually had to ask her if I could get put on her waiting list for this bag because so many people want them. I know that Kay Jones on the Bakery Bears has shown this. I think she even had one as a giveaway that Denise had sent her. So the bags are really popular. I know Harry Potter in general is very popular with the knitting community. Everybody has project bags and stitch markers and yarn colorways, and they're all amazing. But this is my Dobby bag, and Denise was super nice. She contacted me to let me know that I would have the opportunity to get my bag, and she allowed me to select what color I wanted his tea towel to be, and whether I wanted him to be holding his sock or wearing his sock. I got to choose the phrase from the 2 or 3 phrases that she had for this particular bag, and because it was Christmas time, she even asked if I wanted him to be wearing a Santa hat, which I didn't want that. Not that it would have bothered me to use it any time of year, but I liked it just the way it was. And she even put in a red zipper. And red is my favorite color. So I thought that was really special. So the yarn for these is being kept right in there. And the contrast color, if I didn't say, it's just a skein of Knit Picks Stroll. It's just in their bare undyed, I believe it's undyed, color. I just find it works well as a neutral for the contrast, especially when the other yarn is so busy. So that's whip number 1. Whip number 2 is another pair of socks. I am knitting these for a friend of mine. His name is Lee, and he's been quite sick lately, and I thought a nice pair of socks might help to cheer him up and, you know, maybe help him in his recovery. So he's fond of really bright neon greens and yellows, which aren't really my cup of tea, but if they make him happy, then I'm going to knit with them no matter what, to cheer him up. So this is just a simple sock. I did a 2x2 knit 2 purl 2 leg all the way down the leg, and just a basic heel flap and turn with gusset and toe. The yarn I used for this is Knit Picks Stroll. This is navy, and this is sour apple. It was part of their neon collection, and I don't believe they do the sour apple anymore. In fact, a good friend of mine is patiently waiting for me to finish these socks so that she can have the leftovers of this, and I know I won't ever knit with it again. I did buy it specifically for this pair of socks, so she's more than welcome to it. I don't know if you noticed, but in the heel flap and in the toe, it looks a little marled. I used some woolly nylon, which I believe is meant for serger sewing machines. But I worked that in. I know that this particular yarn, like most yarns, but not all of them, does have a certain percentage of nylon already in it. But sometimes I add the woolly nylon just as a little bit more reinforcement for heels and toes, especially with guys, and even my husband. That's like the first part of the sock to go is the toe. So I always make a point to add extra nylon to those parts so that the socks will last longer. But for these ones, I decided to do it. I have some of the woolly nylon in this color, a green that would blend in well with this, but I thought, wouldn't it look cool to do it in the navy and kind of give it just this marled kind of speckly look? So, and I really like it, and my best friend Rose, who is also a friend of Lee's, when I ran the idea past her, she thought, well, give it a try and see how it comes out. And so when I when I finished the heel flap, I showed her and she loved it. So I was pleased. So I do plan to carry on. In the second sock, I'm at about right here. So I only have about, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch left in the ribbing to finish, and then I can start the heel flap. So I'm hoping to have these done soon so that I can give these to him and move on to one of my other WIPs that I've sort of set aside temporarily till I can get these done. One thing I wanted to point out about when I was knitting these, I watched the Sockmatician podcast, and it was in one of his past few episodes. I can't remember the exact number, but he was talking about a pair of self-striping socks that he was knitting, and how if you're doing something like this where, you know, for example, if you're doing any sort of ribbing, when you change color, you notice in the purl bumps, you notice that color change, it gets distorted. So his suggestion was, and he actually worked this along with some other tips and tricks into a pattern that's a paid for pattern on his Ravelry page. But the thing that I found most intriguing about it was he said when you switch color, that first row, just knit it. And then in your next row, go back to your knit to, purl to, or whatever stitch pattern you're using. And it makes for a smoother transition from one color to the next. So that's what I've done on these, and I have to say, it's pretty genius. I like that it's so smooth and I don't get those distorted color bumps on my purl stitches. So thank you very much, Nathan. That was a handy little trick you came up with there. So anyway, so hopefully these will be done soon. The project bag that I have those in is just, I don't have it with me. It's one that my mom made me. It's a New England Patriots one. We live in New England, and my husband is a big Patriots fan, so it was kind of cute that she made me a New England Patriots project bag for my knitting. So WIP number 3. I've actually kind of got it in 2 project bags at the moment. It's a sweater for my best friend Rose, and I'm almost done with it. Like, I have the sleeves and the body of the sweater all knit. I'm currently just working on a smaller portion of it, so I've got the bigger pieces folded up neatly in one of the project bags that I made for myself. That's a bigger one, more for sweaters and bigger shawls. But if I just want to take this to my knitting group that I have on Thursday nights, the piece that I'm still working on, I just have popped it into one of my smaller project bags because it doesn't make sense to haul the whole sweater around with me. But I can show you the pattern really quick. Well, not the whole thing. It's in a book, and so it's a paid-for pattern. But the pattern is from Knit Picks. It's called the Della cardigan, I believe. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. Dealla cardigan. It is in their Celtic Journey book, and I'll show you the cover in just a moment. I'm just trying to find, here it is. So this is the book that it's in, and actually this is the sweater that I am making for her. She saw it in one of the catalogs that I get from them, and she fell right in love with it. I have knit her another cardigan from Knit Picks, the circlet cardigan, and she really likes that. So this is it right here. I don't know how well you can see that. And on the back there is this medallion section, which was, I was a little nervous about working it, but it actually worked up really, really well. It didn't give me hardly any problems whatsoever, which was really nice, because on a couple of their patterns I have had a couple of hiccups and had to look back to an errata for corrections. So the portion of this that I'm working on is a cabled band that runs up one side around the neck and down the other side of the sweater, and I have to repeat the pattern of 30 rows, I believe 16 times, or until it measures, I want to say 60 inches for her size. And I am knitting this out of Knit Picks Brava, which is just an acrylic yarn, but their acrylic yarn I find to be very, very nice. I know sometimes acrylic yarn gets a bad rap, but this particular one is quite nice, and I have no problems using it for certain projects. The color is called Tide Pool. Rose is a lover of green. Her favorite color is green in all different shades, and she selected this color. So this is it. It's a very pretty jewel-toned teal color. And we bought plenty of skeins of it. In fact, I was looking in the spot in my room where I'm keeping the extra skeins, and I think I'm probably going to have at least 2 extra skeins left over when I'm done knitting this. I can't imagine that I'm going to use them all. So those will get tucked into her basket in my stash and used on future projects for her. But I just want to show you this. This is the cabled band. There's also this exact thing that goes around the waistband and around the sleeve cuffs. So knitting it now is quite easy for me. I don't have to refer to the legend to know the stitch sequencing on the chart. This is only probably, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 8 inches right now. So I do have quite a ways to go on it. But once I finish the navy and neon socks, I know this is going to go lickety-split. And then it'll just be a matter of assembling it. So, but right now, this little portion that I'm working on, I am keeping in my favorite project bag. I felt very fortunate to get this, and I know I showed it in my first podcast, but I love it so much, so I'm going to show it again. And that is my Little Bobbins bag. This particular design has a panel in it that her mom embroidered. I know everybody that follows Dani knows how special these bags are to her. I think all her bags are special to her, but the ones that her mom puts a panel in, I know those hold an extra special place in her heart. And I truly love this bag very much, so I like to use it as often as I can because it always makes me smile. So that is, let's see, that was 2 pairs of socks and a sweater. So I have one more work in progress. It's the 3rd pair of socks, which is in a Little Bobbins bag. Again, I actually have 2 of her bags, the one I just showed you, and then this one here that I'm about to show you, which was a Christmas present from my husband. It was another thing that I ordered for him to give me, which was kind of a new thing this year, me ordering things for him to give me. But, you know, some of these things you have to get in the moment if you want to be successful at getting it at all. So I feel really lucky to have been able to purchase a second bag from Dani because, yeah, she's one of my favorites. So this is a Christmas bag, but I will be using it year-round. I don't care. But it's super cute. It's a little smaller than my other bag, but it's perfect for a pair of socks. This will still hold the skein and the project, and if I wanted to fold the pattern up and tuck it in there, I could do that as well, along with, you know, a little notions pouch. The other bag easily holds 2, I've even had 3 skeins of yarn in there, along with the notions pouch and a pattern. So her bags are sized very well. But again, this one, the first one was a zipper top. This one is a drawstring, as you can see here. But it's just got a cute little Christmas stocking and the little holly berries right there. And then on the back, she has stamped it with her Little Bobbins stamp. And I think this is just super cute. And like the first bag, I haven't been able to bring myself to even take the little tag off that she that she puts on that she stamps out herself. And this one has a cute little Christmas tree with a colored bead on their stitch marker. But I don't want to take it off. I like it. I think it's charming. So I just tuck it inside the bag to keep it safe so I don't get it caught on something or accidentally rip it off and when I'm putting this in my bag for work, because the project that I have in here is just a vanilla pair of socks, so it tends to be something that I take to work on while I'm at lunch, while I'm on my lunch at work, or if I'm in the car waiting to pick up either my older daughter from work or my younger daughter from school. If my husband and I are out running errands, I even take my knitting then because he does all the driving. It's good for cinema knitting as well. So this bag kind of goes everywhere with me. But the pair of socks that I have in here right now, again, it's just a vanilla pair. This is some Regia yarn, the Perfect yarn line that they've put out that's quite popular with knitters. And this is it's got a little crease here because I'm doing magic loop. This is the cinnamon colorway, I believe it's called. I didn't have any brown socks, and I thought, you know, with these other colors in here, that might be nice because I do, when I wear trousers, I do tend to wear like khaki colored trousers, so I thought it would be nice to have a pair of brown socks to wear under that. But yeah, these worked up. The color section went super fast. I'm not super crazy about the cuff. This is a little too long for my liking. I think it's probably close to 2 inches, and that's just too much. I usually only do maybe about 1 inch for my cuff. So that part was honestly, it was a little annoying to work through because it was just too long. But once I hit the colored stripes, I mean, I think each one is only about 7 or 8 rows a piece, so they went really fast. And now, as you can see, I'm down on the foot. I'm done with the gusset stitches. I did just a regular heel flap and turn, and then the gussets. And these are for me. I wear about a 7.5 shoe, but honestly, I'll get to a certain point, and then I'll try it on. I'll take the stitches and just pop them right onto the cable and try the sock on and see how much farther I have to go and just kind of eyeball it before starting the toe. I am knitting these socks on one of my 2 pair of ChiaoGoo lace needles. These are 2.25 millimeter, which I'm pretty sure is a 1.5 US. I really love these needles. They are extra pointy, which I really, really enjoy a nice pointy needle, especially where the size of the needle is so skinny. It really helps, the pointy tips really help to get into the stitches of the sock. And the cable, again, is super nice. It doesn't do anything weird like some other cables. Some of my Knit Picks cables kind of get a little weird and they get extra curly, and I even have one that's kind of crimping now, which is kind of annoying. But I'm really loving these ChiaoGoos. I have something planned for this summer with my knitting, which I'll talk about in just a little bit, and I'm contemplating getting a third pair of this particular size, so that I can have 3 socks on ChiaoGoos. So those are my works in progress at the moment. I have a couple of things in timeout, but they've been there so long that there's no point in talking about them until I'm ready to take them out of timeout. Excuse me for one moment. I just have to have a sip of water. So next, I will talk to you briefly about my projects that I have planned coming up once I am done with the socks and the sweater. And as far as the sweater, I just want to get the knitting part of it done before I start anything new. Because after I finish that cabled piece, then it's just a matter of putting all the pieces together. And I can't imagine that's going to take me too long. I'm guessing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of I can't imagine more than 3 parts of of an afternoon, or three days, a little bit each afternoon. I don't want to try to sit down and put it all together at one time. I'd probably drive myself bonkers. So I'm planning to just kind of take it slow, but I do want to get it all knit before I put anything new on my needles. Otherwise, I won't finish it. And I'm already feeling bad that I've tucked it aside to do the socks. But my best friend is super patient when it comes to me knitting for her. So she's not in any huge rush to get it at the moment, but I still want to get it done for her because I know she's going to love it. So one of the things that I have planned coming up is something else for my best friend. It's actually a pattern that I purchased along with some yarn that I gifted her at Christmas time. We both are huge fans of the Bakery Bears, Dan and Kay Jones, and Kay had recently revamped her Messalina cowl pattern into the Messalina shawl, and Rose really liked that. So I went ahead and purchased the pattern and some yarn from Knit Picks to knit that for her. And she did, when we first saw that she had, turned this into a shawl, we instantly went to Knit Picks to try to find a color and, how much yarn would we need, and, kind of pricing it out a little bit just to see how it would be. And honestly, it wasn't a lot at all. I mean, all the skeins that I purchased were about the price of a skein of yarn from an independent dyer, so I have no problems with that. But yeah, she's super excited to get it, and again, patient as always. She knows that I will knit it for her, and she's excited to get it when it is completed. So if you haven't seen, now I just have black and white, so the color's not super well, and I think the original picture of this was just done in like a silvery gray yarn anyway. But this is the pattern here. I'm just going to hold it up and show you there that she did. And the yarn that I got to knit it out of, don't be shocked at the colorway. It's green, and it's incredibly similar to the yarn color that I'm using for the cardigan that I'm working on for her, but they are 2 different colors. One is a little darker than the other, but this is it. This is Knit Picks Gloss DK, which is I think I looked at this once before. Yep, 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. And this is the Kenai colorway, which again is just a very pretty, I think it's like a jewel toned teal, but this has just a little bit more green, where the Tide Pool, I think, I don't know. But you can definitely see the difference right there. That's pretty good right there. The color might be off just a tiny bit, but you can definitely see that this one is lighter than this one, and that is true. So that's what I have upcoming for my knitting projects, along with I plan to make the Hedgerow cowl, also by Kay Jones. I purchased a while back, which I showed in my first episode, a lovely mini set of Hedgerow yarns, which I was scrolling through Kay's Instagram today because I was waiting for a yarn update in her Etsy shop. And I was just kind of keeping myself busy until the time came for that. And I noticed that she did knit the Hedgerow cowl out of Hedgerow minis. So, and I do love a pretty cowl, and that pattern is just so delicate and pretty. And I tend to wear a cardigan and either a cowl or a shawl when I'm at work, especially in the summertime when the air conditioning is on, and of course in the wintertime because it's cold here in New England. But there's an air conditioning vent on the ceiling right behind me, and it gets a little cold because it's blowing down the back of my neck. So I tend to try to keep something a little extra on so that I'm not shivering while I'm trying to help my customers. So that is also something that I have planned for my upcoming knitting, along with a fun project that I'm super excited about. It's actually going to be, I guess, technically 3 projects. I was so busy and somewhat frantic to finish all of my holiday knits that I was sadly unable to participate in Danny's Christmas Eve cast on. I've always wanted to participate in that. In the past couple of years, I haven't been able to because my holiday knitting has kind of worked me right to the end. So I thought, you know what? Well, first of all, I am going to participate this year. I'm going to make sure that my holiday knitting is done so that Christmas Eve I'm participating in her Christmas Eve cast on, because I adore her so much. I love watching her podcast. I love all the things she knits, and I think the colors and the yarns that she uses are fabulous. And I love seeing Bobbin and Teddy, and I like the episodes where her mom visits with her and is in the podcast as well. So I really want to be able to participate in that fun little knit along that she does. But anyway, what I'm going to do this year, since I wasn't able to participate in the Christmas Eve cast on, is I am going to do a Christmas in July knitting, where I already have planned to knit 3 pair of Christmas socks. The first one being Danny's 'Twas the Night Before Christmas pattern that she just came out with for this holiday season that's just passed. I haven't yet figured out what yarn I'm going to use. I have a couple of ideas in mind, but I know it. I think I'll know it when I see it. But so I don't have the yarn yet for that particular pattern, and I haven't yet purchased the pattern either. I'm kind of waiting till it gets a little closer, just so I'm not tempted to cast it on any sooner. Because I really want to make this a Christmas in July thing. The other pattern that I want to knit as part of that is the Fairy Lights pattern by Helen Stewart. And for that particular one, I do already have the yarn. It's another skein from Hedgerow Yarns, and I believe it's called Sleigh Bells. But it's a beautiful Christmassy speckled yarn with silver stellina in it. And yeah, that one's got me super excited. The other pattern that I'm going to do, I'm kind of torn between a couple of patterns at this point. Excuse me, I need some more water. That's better. They are both patterns designed by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. Because the yarn is also one of her yarns, and it's more the yarn that's Christmassy for me than I think the pattern. Although one of the patterns, I guess, is Christmassy. It was a pattern that she gifted to all of the patrons of their podcast, which I am one of them, and I believe it's called All Is Calm Socks. So I'm either going to use that pattern or her prairie sock pattern, which I think is very lovely. And I just haven't quite decided yet. It may be something where I'll start the socks in one pattern, and if it just isn't doing it for me, then I'll switch to the other one. But I am going to be knitting that, in some of her yarn. And again, it was kind of a Christmassy themed yarn, and I was, as always, super excited to be able to purchase this from her Etsy shop, because Kay Jones is so popular, as I'm sure you all know, that her stuff sells out in seconds. Seconds. So I feel very fortunate that I was able to get one of these. So this is Figgy Pudding. I think that's coming across quite well. It's a beautiful purple and kind of a magenta pink, and I don't know if that's black or navy, and then some green, and down here in this end, yeah, right there, you'll notice there's like some gold. I just think this is beautiful, and purple is my second favorite color. So this is going to be fun to knit with, I know, and it's super soft. This is her Bolton base, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And the yardage is 365 meters. I'm not good with meters to yards, so I'm not exactly sure what the yardage is, but I know there's going to be enough here for a pair of socks. And whether or not I do a contrasting heel, cuff, and toe, I don't know yet. It hasn't, I don't think I'm going to. Actually, just talking about it now is the first time it's even popped into my head for those. But yeah, those are going to be the 3 Christmas in July knitting plans that I have. So not to rush the year along, but I am really looking forward to getting those cast on. And who knows, I may cast all 3 pair on at the same time, have a little cast on party. Maybe I'll even pop on some Bing Crosby Christmas music while I do it. You never know. Might freak my family out, but you know, what can you do? I think that's about it as far as my knitting goes. I have started watching 2 or 3 new knitting podcasts. I have recently started watching So Sweet Violet, which I really, really enjoy. I went back and started with her first episode, which is kind of a thing I do with most podcasts that I want to try out. I go back to the beginning and I watch the first 1 or 2, kind of see how it is in the beginning. And if I like it, I will binge watch all the way through. And that's how it turned out with the So Sweet Violet ones. I just find her so pleasant to listen to. She has a nice, soft, calm voice, which is nice and relaxing to listen to and to watch while I'm knitting. And her dog, Mabel, is super sweet, and she's always got a little video of their walks in there, so I like to see her. So that's one podcast that I've started watching. The other one, and I don't think she's done anything new since Christmas, but it's the Happy Bubbles podcast. She is Mrs. McW on Instagram, and sadly I can't remember what her real name is other than that, and I'm sorry about that, but she's, again, another one that I really enjoy watching. Her voice is very soft and pleasant, and she's funny. And I like to see the different things that she knits as well. And I love the things that Jules knits also. Her project bags are fabulous. I've tried a couple of times to purchase one, but like so many other popular podcasters, her things go very fast. So I haven't yet purchased one of those, but they are still top on my list to get one soon. And the third one, and I almost forgot this. Actually, I did forget this in the 3 other times that I've tried recording this episode, and that is Hohi's Journal. That one, oh my word. I was so excited to see that. She is super popular. I know that Jody and Tracy of the Grocery Girls think she is amazing. They're always talking about Hohi, and I know they've met her and everything, which I think is super, super cool. But she has started a journal in English because she is from Argentina. So I think her other podcasts that she has are in Spanish. So it's very nice to have an English version one. And she she's just, like I said with the other ones, she's just amazing to watch. I enjoy her designs. I have purchased a couple of her, 2 or 3 of her patterns, and I actually have another one that I'm planning on purchasing for some yarn. Ooh, I almost forgot to show you that one. That one doesn't have an exact plan as to when it's going to come on the needles, but I do plan on knitting a Joji pattern, and actually I guess I can show it to you now while I'm talking about her. I have in mind the Jody shawl that she designed after Jody of the Grocery Girls. I purchased this skein of yarn at my local yarn shop, which is called One Lupin, and it was kind of a one-of-a-kind mega skein. It's actually 4 skeins twisted up all together into one beautiful hank. 989 yards. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to knit it with some mohair. People seem to be doing that a lot lately, adding a strand of mohair and holding that with their other yarn together just to give their project a frothy, loftiness to it. And I think that would be really cool. I just have to find the right color because this skein of yarn is so, ooh, well, you'll see in just a minute. So, but that is my ultimate plan, I believe, is to knit the Jody out of this. So here it is. Ta-da! It is super gorgeous. Yes, 989 yards of lusciousness. And this is on what she calls her Monhegan base, which is a singles base. It's 100% superwash merino. I don't know if you can see that tag well. There it is. Yay! And I just really love this knit shop. In fact, I was just in there earlier today with my daughter. She wanted to pop into the coffee shop across the street, and we parked right in front of the knit shop, and I said, well, we can't park here and not go in. That would just be wrong. So, but yeah, so that's what I have planned, is the Jody shawl by Joji Locatelli. But again, she's put up, what is it, 3 or 4, I think, what she calls journals, which, it's a podcast. But those are super fun to watch. I really enjoy them, and thank you, Joji, for doing that. You're a peach. I just realized I had a couple more skeins of yarn that were gifted to me by one from a coworker, because we did a Secret Santa thing this past holiday season at work. And again, it's from my local yarn shop. She popped in there and got me this lovely skein of yarn. My color's not going very well on the camera. But this is on her Harbor base, which is 100% superwash wool. This is a worsted weight. She didn't give the color a name. It's just got a number, so, and that won't mean anything to you. But it is a beautiful kind of tonal red. And again, red is my favorite color. So this will get worked up into something fabulous at some point. And then the other skein of yarn that I got was from my good friend Sydney, who is Sydney Reads Everything on Instagram. And I have actually been on a couple of her podcast episodes in the past, but she gave me this beautiful skein of Madeline Tosh. This colorway is called Bloodstone. I was at her house. We were just spending the afternoon. We had lunch together and we were hanging out knitting for the afternoon. And we got talking about some of our previous projects. And I was telling her about some socks that I had knit out of the West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply Hollyberry colorway. I did contrasting heels and toes, and I was able to get 3 pair of ankle socks out of one 100-gram skein of that yarn, which I thought was super cool. So that particular one, I knit a pair of ankle socks for my best friend, another good friend of ours, and myself. And you can see a picture of those, on my Instagram as well. So those were super fun, but we were talking about Christmas colors, and this particular skein of yarn, she likes red and green, but in a slightly different depth of color. She likes her red, her Christmas red, to be a little more orangey and her green to be a little more yellowy than what this is. So she gave this to me, and I was just kind of blown away by that because I wasn't expecting it at all. So this will get worked up into something fun. I'm not sure what exactly just yet. Maybe a hat or some fingerless gloves. I personally am not a hat person as much as I want to be, because there are some super cool hat patterns out there, and pom-poms are all the rage right now. But I don't know. I don't know. They just don't do it for me. Hats. It's not that they don't do it for me. I don't think I look right wearing a hat. That's it right there. So I just don't. Guess I'm going to have a cold head most of the winter. But yeah, so that's all of my WIPs projects that I plan to do in the near future. Yarn that has come into my stash. Ooh, one other quick thing that I wanted to show you was something that my husband gave me as a Christmas present, because of all the gifts and things that I ordered for him to give me. He wanted to be able to, actually go out and purchase something himself for me. And it was something that I'd seen on a couple of other podcasts, and I thought it looked really cool. And as a nice alternative way to winding yarn than using my ball winder or just sitting and winding it manually. This I guess is still a manual wind, but anyway, he purchased for me this beautiful Kromsky Nostpina. I have used it 3 or 4 times now. It's I don't know if I'm doing it right. I watched a couple of videos, but so far it's coming out really cool, and yeah, I like it. It looks kind of like a chubby little wand, which, being a fan of Harry Potter just makes it that more fun to use. So I really like using this, and if you haven't tried one, they're fun. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. And I just happened to glance and notice that my time is like crazy good right now. So I think I'm going to say goodbye for now. I will have some other fabulous things to show you in episode 3, which I don't know exactly when that will be. It will depend on my schedule. I do have a full-time job outside of the home, and my daughters keep me quite busy as well, and spending time with them and my husband and my best friend. So, but I am enjoying podcasting, and I hope you are enjoying watching this, so that will inspire me to keep going with it. But anyway, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and weekend, and I look forward to sitting and chatting with you again soon. So thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.